So, welcome to the talk about key questions for affiliates and operators. We've got a fantastic panel. I know they've just introduced us, but I'll just introduce ourselves again. So, I'm Dan Shannon. I work for Bettable. Been in the iGaming industry for around 15 years, doing multiple things. So, we'll just work down the panel.
So Tamara here from bet25.com. This is a crypto casino, and my experience in the industry starts with customer support. It's been 7+ years. So yeah.
My name is Line Petteri. I work for HFX, which is actually an online trading platform. But prior to that, I've been working 16 years in gaming, predominantly on the operator side with affiliation, where I've been responsible for Enchains, Party Poker, Party Casino, Betsun, World Poker Tour, and for a lot of crypto casinos I'm not going to mention here for different reasons. And then I've also been on the affiliate side, where we have had shares in some in RakeTech and some other ones as well. Yeah, that's it.
Hi guys.
Oh, is this one?
Is this one? Oh, take that one.
Hi. Hi guys, my name is Beza. I've been in the gambling industry for the past 11 years. And now I'm working for Aleph as head of gaming, which is basically a company that's helping advertisers all over the world to get on their paid social game.
Still not working.
There we go. Does that work? Yeah, there we go. I'm Josh Gamble. Run a company called Active Win. So essentially, we're specialists in iGaming, all around customer acquisition, everything from your PPC, paid social, SEO, affiliate marketing. So yeah, this is kind of our day to day.
So jealous of your last name.
Only reason I got the job.
It's his real last name as well. So one thing the guys asked me to do for this panel to be no BS. So we're going to follow that guideline. So starting with the first question, let's be honest, are most operators actually profitable from paid acquisition anymore? Or are they just using it to buy revenue matrix?
Shall I start? Well, recently, and I've talked today and yesterday on the panels, interviews, etc., on this matter a lot. It has been a weird time, but it always happens like this. Like prices and partnerships have to regulate itself, and we see this trend right now. But right now, it's not like a right positive for anyone, I'd say, because there is no trust from the affiliate side, no trust from the operator side. A lot of new casinos are popping up on a daily basis. Therefore, it needs some time to settle down. But this trend we saw like years and years before, and it always happens. I think it's going to regulate itself, obviously, at some point. But right now, we are more of a risking and staying on afloat rather than making informed decisions for our revenue and for our budgeting expectations. But this is the thing you have to do. You have to stay on the float until your time comes when you do your thing. So yeah, that's my personal opinion. What would you say?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that to a certain extent. I think one of the challenges that we've got over the last few years is obviously you mentioned the number of new entrants that are coming into the space. And there's people who you see, there'll be a flash in the pan, they'll come along, they'll spend a load of cash, and all that does is essentially drive up the cost for everyone else in the industry. And what we're seeing is the cost of acquisition of customers is going up a lot without the actual LTVs, those customers coming up as well. So I think from our perspective, so obviously looking at things from a purely marketing perspective, you're reliant on your partners to be able to deliver value in terms of the LTV of those customers for it to make any sense. And I think from a platform perspective, when we're looking at the partners that we work with, we're obviously looking to deliver decent quality traffic. We can see the deposits that are coming through, but then if you look in the deposit to GGR is terrible, you know that something's going wrong on their side. And I think what we've seen, especially within the UK market and within most mature markets, is that CRM and products becoming even more prevalent, even more important, and people are starting to invest a lot more in the CRM side of things in terms of the gamification and anything that you can do to essentially retain those customers.
So basically get them through the doors, the easy part, but then it's the actual keeping them.
I wouldn't take it that far, but
Anyone else want to add anything else? Or?
But I think one of the biggest challenges has been that we are a lot of operators so short-term focused and very FTD focused, And I've seen so many particular junior affiliate managers just hunting down to get FTDs. They have no idea about any kind of value. They don't know the source of traffic. They have no idea what they're doing, and because they've been told you just need to get X amount of FTDs. And then I think the biggest challenge for our industry overall have been that we don't understand the maturity of the players. We don't know the LTV or CLV per cohort, per sort of traffic. So of course, to answer your question, no, I don't think acquisition itself is sustainable. And as Josh mentioned, of course, we need to be better at loyalty and retention. But I think it's crazy. We had this conversation 10 years ago, and we're still having this conversation. It seems like we're just getting dumber and dumber with all the AI. I don't know. Sorry.
So leads me on to the next question. So affiliates are always complaining affiliates are always complaining about shaving, and operators always complain about low quality traffic. So where's the relationship actually broken?
Is the question to me?
Any of his
To be honest, I think that as mentioned before, that there are a lot of new operators entering the industry every single day. I don't think ever in my humble, very short, decade-long career, I don't think I've seen like so many operators just popping up like every single day. We see some launches, and I think the pressure is getting into them. And as Lynn very correctly mentioned, that they're hiring junior affiliate managers that are hit with very hard KPIs that they're required to survive. And then everybody's just trying to survive. This is like a survival game. It's a red ocean, you know. Everybody's like taking any measure they have to do in order to make to another quarter. So I think it's an inherently wrong logic from the beginning. You know, I think we need to look at the hygiene of the entire operation from the beginning. You as a founder, as the owner of a casino or of your sports book, you have to understand that the first layers, you know, the tier 1 layer of your company, the people that are representing your company, going to the industries, looking for partners, bringing you traffic, that's where it starts. It doesn't start with the hiring the best CPO that's going to, you know, build you a perfect product. We have to start at the customer support level. We have to start with the junior affiliate managers that are going to, you know, represent the company. Excuse my French, but, you know, we hear a lot with AI saying shit input is shit output. So the input needs to be hygienic and clean from the beginning in order for us to have like a healthy ecosystem that's also going to reflect in the results in a good way.
Yeah, I think from a transparency perspective, obviously it's one of the biggest issues that we've always faced within this industry, and especially from an affiliate and tracking perspective. You mentioned that in terms of shaving and all that sort of stuff. And when you look at it from our side in terms of working as an affiliate program and representing different brands, the first thing that we do when we onboard a brand is actually look at what their deductions look like, because the last thing that I want to do, and yet again, apologies for swearing, last thing I want to do is fuck up all the relationships that we've spent building over the last 15 years by having these massive deductions in place. So we've had brands that have come to us and they've been like, I'm really keen to work with you guys, and we go through the process, and then we get to the point where we start onboarding them and we're, what's your deductions? And they're talking about 50, 60%. And we're not going to go to our best affiliates who we work with across all the other brands and say, okay, so you guys are going to get nothing off the back of this. You're going to put all the work in, and then you'll be in a position where we've burnt our relationships with you as well. But on the whole, I do think that there's a lot that we can be doing as an industry to make it a lot clearer, and the transparency element is that key element of it. When you're talking to different operators, when you're talking to different affiliates, and when you're actually getting the data, understanding the data that's actually feeding into that system, because if the data that's in the back end is very different to what you're seeing within the system, something's inherently going wrong. You're going to get questions from the affiliates, and then at that point, that's when the trust starts to erode, and that's when it's not sustainable anymore.
Just one more thing I just wanted to add, because he mentioned a very, very correct thing here about the trust that you have built with your partners throughout the years. We all know that any casino that doesn't honor the winnings and doesn't honor the payout to the player it's a career suicide. Like you're going to you're going to drown. So why don't we take the same logic to the partners that we're working with, to the agencies that we're employing, to the affiliates that we're working with? You think that you can be an unfair partner towards them once and they're just going to let it slide? It's not going to happen.
But I think actually that turns into something else that I noticed in some of the affiliate team I've taken over is it's been really poorly managed. And I've noticed, I really see so much poor leadership in our industry, and I don't want to sit and call anybody out for it. And I think, I don't know if our industry just grew too fast and we somehow forgot to train people who's working with quite complicated metrics. And then we promote people who's maybe can be an amazing affiliate manager, but maybe a terrible leader. And then we wonder why, as you said, actually, I really like this shit output, because why do we expect people to, they cannot just, a junior person don't just learn by themselves how to figure out an LTV or how to analyze multiple sources. Affiliate managers have to be good at multiple marketing disciplines. That's what people forget. It's not just a salesperson who contact the partner. They need to understand the channel that they're working with, and all of them. And most companies, they have maybe one affiliate managers for a country, meaning they have to work with influencers, SEO, PPC, display, whatever that is. And then we wonder why they're not an expert in all of them. And I feel like, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record about saying about stupidity, but why do we expect, amazing results when we're not willing to put in the training for it? So, yeah.
If I may add, I wanna mention like 3 main points for me personally. What is super important for the affiliates team and how I personally managed to get by when I was a junior affiliate manager. It is super important that when sometimes mistakes happen, and sometimes there are some technical difficulties that might look bad from affiliates' perspective, but I have gone up to the affiliate and told them that there are a few players that are not attached to your account, which was your players. We could have just skipped it and didn't do it, and no one would know.
Being transparent.
Transparency, super important. The connection with the affiliate. Since then, the connection with that affiliate, they know that technical problems might occur from time to time, but it is super important that I came clean. I went to the affiliate, I informed them about the problem, I informed them about the situation, and now they trust you. Now they trust you as a brand. Now they trust to be okay sending you traffic, because if something occurs and it might look bad, it not necessarily means that you are trying to defraud them or anything like that. That is super important. And also communication with anyone is the key. We are human beings first of all, and then we are professionals. And yes, you have to juggle, you have multiple things at the same time, but super important. Just communicate with the affiliates. There might be way more to the things, and if someone doesn't know something, ask them. When I was a newbie, even when I didn't know what CPA meant, it is okay to ask affiliate. They usually know what they're doing, and they will inform you. They will try to teach you, because, if they are not willing to do that, that means that they are not willing to work with you. So yeah, I would advise just go out and talk to people.
Yeah, I think with going back to your point, Beza, with most companies, they do probably need to keep it a lot more simple, don't they? I start with the foundations and again building up from there, because I think, like you said, a lot of them go in straight away for a fancy hire or something along them lines. And I got told about 10 years ago, KISS, keep it stupid simple. And I think that's a good fundamental way to run a business, to keep it very simple.
Absolutely.
Moving on to my next question, which is regarding SEO. Has SEO and iGaming become too dependent on authority and budgets, making it also impossible for small affiliates to compete now?
I will start. I'm no expert in SEO, but I had a lot of problems recently with the big affiliates, which were converting super well, and now we see the downgrades because of the updates, because different sources are taking over, etc. So I would say it is on a declining way, but that happens from time to time. So I think that they will figure out, and this source, my personal favorite is SEO source, and I know that it's going to be like something different along the way. But I think based on a specific keywords, people can easily find a specific thing that they want and they like, right? So it is upon like much more like smarter experts than me, but I think that at some point it's gonna survive it. Hopefully.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
I think from our perspective and what we've seen, obviously you've got your bigger brands out there who've got massive budgets and they are starting to, or have always relatively monopolized what's been going on. But I think with the smaller operators, the new entrants, the new smaller affiliates, the way in which they're finding traction is by basically looking at things in a little bit more of a fragmented manner. And what I mean by that is obviously you've got your massive keywords that you're looking at. We all know about longer tail keywords, all that sort of stuff. But when we're looking at the sort of content that everyone's creating, looking at that more topical creative, looking at stuff that's a little bit more niche, finding a particular angle that works particularly well, and also tying into the stuff that you can do now across multi-platforms as opposed to just being purely dependent on Google, something that we've seen work quite well for ourselves, but also for most of the partners that we work with as well.
So like different search channels and stuff like that, like niche markets as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone else want to add
Can
anything?
I add a question to you guys? Like,
Far away.
it's the end of the day. It's the end of
Go
the
for
conference.
it.
So, like, well, we there are like few issues with the SEO situation, and some of the brands are taking over other brands' keywords, etc., etc. And we have a like huge issue. All of us, if you worked in affiliate side of the things, it's a big problem. How do you see, like, what is the solution there? Is there any specific solution besides like improving your own keywords where other casinos are stealing your keywords and your traffic on a different geolocations, for instance, where it's not that strong? Like, this is my question, to put it out there.
I think Dan's keen to answer this one. Saw your microphone going up very quickly
Let's
then.
turn things
I
around.
don't be moderating now.
I apologize.
No, it's fine. For me, I always think looking at niche keywords. Josh touched on it just then about niche keywords and basically changing your strategy. So if your keywords are being overtook by other competitors and there's other brands which are over, then I would look at my SEO strategy and go, well, okay, how can we make this work? What other keywords can we go after? And for me, I've always in SEO always never looked at the major like Hollywood keywords because I've never really had a Bet365 budget. So like that's really difficult. So if I wanted like 40,000-50,000 clicks per month, I would do that across 200 keywords, not one. So that's the way I look at myself.
Yeah, I think it is in terms of like the competition element of things and obviously going after competitors' keywords. It's something that's always gone on, and it's something that has kind of not died off from a pay perspective over the years. But I remember it must have been 7-8 years ago, we were working with one of the tier 1 bookmakers in the UK, and the owner of the business was really keen to aggressively go after a few of the other tier 1s, and it got to a point where it was just like, we're just spending a shit ton of money and getting nothing through. And they're doing the same on their side. Everyone's bidding on each other's keywords, and all it is wasted budget at the end of the day. And I don't think there'll ever be a point where there's any form of amnesty or anything daft like that. But you need to take a step back and just use your brain a little bit with it. And I think it's hard when your keywords being bid on, your brand's being attacked, essentially. And there are ways and means in doing it. And obviously you can look to a different brand protection sources and all that sort of stuff. But longer term, it's just not sustainable. And hopefully if you start going after them, all it's doing is increasing everyone's costs, increasing everyone's budgets, and you're not actually getting any benefit off the back of it.
Thank you.
I think everyone's going to be skint if that happens, isn't it? Bit of a controversial one. Well, I wouldn't say it was controversial, but anyway, what's the biggest waste of acquisition spend where you see operators throwing away in 2026?
I'm trying to be careful because I'm selling these platforms, right? So I can't,
That's why we all.
That's why-
can't
that's-
really talk too
That's why I asked the question.
I think the most dangerous budget mistake that CMOs do, in my experience, is being so so fixated on their idea what success is, and just going after that. And when I come to them and I'm like, look, for your type of brand, for your type of geo, this is probably not going to work. This is like, I had a big operator once. I'm not going to name drop, but maybe you're gonna guess. And the CMO was obsessed with the idea of getting himself on Pinterest. And I didn't understand. Pinterest is just not going to make sense. It's going to be a waste of money. What are you going to do? It's not a conversion platform. You cannot place your ads in there. You cannot put any UGC content with your slots in there. It's two different worlds. And then he just stopped working with me because I wouldn't give him Pinterest. So I think it's the most killer mistake that people do is don't be fixated. Like, come with an open mind. If you are addressing your business to us, it means you need help. It means you need some sort of guidance. It means something is not working. Maybe you need some sort of support. So come with an open mind, because obviously, no matter if it's 5K or 500K, our goal is to make you stay with us, is to continue working. So it works against our own benefit if we're going to, just blindly trust whatever you say and then pray to God it works. We want this to be successful. So that's what I would say.
Very good answer.
I can say my own experience, obviously, and I cannot say for everybody, but my own experience have been mobile traffic. It's so scammy out there, and then we're being sold these super expensive anti-fraud tools, which maybe or maybe not will cover something, and then and obviously everybody who work with AffPapa know that is honestly is so expensive. It's so okay. That's 8 people. So obviously there's nobody from AffPapa here, but it's so expensive traffic, and I never ever seen more fraud in my life than when you work with mobile traffic. In one of my older team, it was like every time you fucked up, but every time you did in a team, you were the one taking up care of the mobile partners, because it's such a big bag of so that is one thing. If I ever begin to focus on that again, it would be on apps that's very specific. I would never go in and work with these weird companies, and there's actually very established English companies that's doing this, and it's so bad traffic. So that will be like, you can easily piss away 200,000-300,000 just on that, and then on top of that you have the app cost, where you also have to pay for the anti-fraud and for the traffic that they're coming in. So that's like 350 for that, and then you maybe get a little bit. So that's mobile traffic.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point in terms of the mobile side of things. One of the little anecdote that we've got, so we work with a tier 2 bookmaker within the UK. And at the time, we were negotiating budgets, talking about budgets, and obviously focusing on the acquisition side of things. And it came out in the wash that they just spent £20 billion to sponsor a Premier League football team. And we were arguing over little bits here and there. And I think from a vanity perspective, from a brand perspective, it's great. But when you're talking about that amount of money, and it's a relatively new platform, it's a relatively new brand, and they haven't got any players on the platform, but they're going out there and spending all that cash. And then I'm saying we could spend 200 grand a month, and they're like, it's a little bit too expensive. The sponsorship side of things obviously has massive benefits. It gets the brand out there. It makes a lot of sense in terms of those sort of vanity metrics that we were talking about before. But when I'm looking at things as a brand owner and as a marketeer, one of the first things that I want to see is actual players on the platform, because you don't know if it works, and you're just basically wasting cash if you're just sponsoring teams without anything going on. If it's not properly attributable, it gives me a little bit of fear, and I think that's somewhere where I'd go.
Yeah, there's no longevity in sponsoring a Premier League team unless you get acquisition right. So you both need to be online.
Yeah,
really.
exactly.
Just going off course, in terms of like 2026, in terms of like paid media like channels, which ones do you see emerging? Like I know last year we were talking about Snapchat. Like, is there anything? Is it going to be Snapchat against TikTok? Is any new emerging markets where you see this year potentially taking off?
Unfortunately, I have to say TikTok, even though I'm sick of it. But yeah, TikTok is by far the most sought after platform right now, and it's no coincidence, because we get the highest value per player. We get the cheapest CPAs if done right. I'm not saying that if you just throw money at it and it's some magic is gonna happen.
Is that across like multiple geos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's the best performing channel. We get the most loyal players from TikTok as well. If it is combined with your organic reach, if you're able to have some sort of organic community built on TikTok, in addition to that, have a couple of influencers, have a couple of streamers that are active on TikTok, it's going to be a killer strategy, honestly. So yeah, I would say TikTok for sure. And it's going to stay this way for the rest of this year. I can tell for a fact.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think TikTok's the main one that everybody's talking about and everyone's keen to get involved with. Obviously, you mentioned Snapchat before, so Snapchat have started. They've changed the framework in terms of getting whitelisted and all that sort of stuff, which has made the process a lot easier. And the performance of it's pretty good, but it's not at the level of TikTok. Meta will always be Meta. It's always going to work. It's always going to drive volume, but the value isn't probably going to be that great. And then there's a few others that often come up in conversations when we're talking to CMOs, when we're talking to different brands. Obviously, Reddit's one that everyone's talking about, and they like throwing out the stat that 65% of Reddit users don't have an account on any other platform. So everyone starts to deem that as a bit of an untapped audience. But it's got to the point now where it's kind of reaching the mass where everyone's advertising on there. So that untapped audience has become very quickly tapped. So I think I'd agree with Beza in terms of the TikTok element of things.
Perfect. Next question. Are welcome offers still driving genuine player value, or are they just attracting bonus hunters and killing long term? Are welcome offers still driving genuine player value, or are they just attracting bonus hunters?
Oh, well.
I know it's a question we probably
That's a
ask
tough
every
one.
year at every conference.
I think from a welcome offer perspective, obviously 5-10 years ago, it was one of those things where it was very useful to have. It was more enticing. Everyone's got welcome offers now, and I think it started to become kind of it's one of those where it's not as important as it once was. Obviously, getting people over the line, hitting the right audience. Most brands now have insane welcome offers in place for insane wagering requirements, all that sort of stuff. So the benefit to the actual player isn't that huge. You see some of the bigger boys in the market doing a lot of different things and doing a lot of clever things with their welcome offers. But for me, it's more around kind of the actual product itself. Product's becoming a lot more important because you could have the best welcome offer in the world, like we were saying before. You can drive players to any site, and as Beza alluded to, with the product side of things, if the product's not right, if the CRM's not right, the user's having a terrible experience, it's one of those where it's just never going to work.
Go ahead.
And so I was helping a casino that decided to have no deposit welcome offer. Totally open. So everybody can already imagine what happened here. I am not a big fan of welcome offers myself. I feel, I know if you want quick FTDs, yes, but the thing is we already talked about, is not, if you only want the short term, you can do it. I've worked mostly with poker, and for instance, in Sweden, where we have very limited welcome offers, we have had very big success by recycling players, by having very good influencers, very good communities, and I'm much more for that because it creates the brand loyalty, and it probably also explains why TikTok is so effective, because you create momentum and you create the loyalty and the community in one go, and suddenly it becomes more about the measuring and the product instead of who can give you the best offer. And I think that is what the brand should focus on. If you are giving away money for people to use your product, I feel like it's almost like when we use naked ladies for you to use your product. Like, you need to use you need to make your product good enough for people to want to use it, and not try to all the other circus tricks, in my opinion.
Well, I would say it depends on the welcome offer, first of all, and the type of it. I would like more brands to try out new types of bonuses rather than copy paste
I was
and
literally gonna
increase
touch on
the
this, yeah.
prices
Yeah.
each other's, because it's a variety of things that you can do, and it depends on the market, and you should understand what your players would like to see, so that you retain and you stay the brand that you want to be, right? So when we were like trying to find the specific way of the welcome offer, there was a problematic situation because of the acquisition, because you have to have a competitive offer, and even if you offer something else and more interesting and more interactive, I'd say, it would not convert as well as a specific percentage of the welcome offer that we all see on a daily basis. So we have that, and we also have the interactive one. So yeah, you might play around with it a bit, but I wouldn't say that it brings bonus abusers unless it's a no deposit one, and it's placed on a very
1,000 free
specific,
spins.
yeah, very specific website. But there are like there are a lot of things the player can do to abuse bonuses. So I wouldn't say like welcome offer is the fault. If the player wants to, it will.
Most casinos normally have one welcome offer, so normally would it be more beneficial for them to have like a welcome offer for TikTok, a welcome offer for Snapchat, or would one welcome offer convert well across them all?
I think from our perspective, obviously with the different segmentation. So segmentation's key with everything that we're doing, and that's a really obvious statement. But when you're looking at the welcome offer side of things, obviously if there's a specific channel where you're seeing better value through, you're a little bit more comfortable with the bonus cost, and you've got more likelihood and more propensity to actually be able to absorb that bonus cost. One of the bigger issues is when you see these smaller challenger brands that are coming out and they go really aggressive, is they don't really understand the importance of volume on the platform to be able to actually absorb the wins. So say, for example, if I'm launching a brand tomorrow, go really aggressive, there's 500 players and I get a 50k winner, all of a sudden I'm panicking. Whereas if I've sustainably built, not going as aggressive, and then got an understanding of all the different segmentation. So like Beza was saying before, if you're using TikTok, you'll know that you could drive decent value through there. Your PPC channels, you'll drive decent value. Whereas if you're running on Meta and going with the same welcome offer, it could very much be a case of you're in trouble. And it's the same with the affiliate side of things. We work with hundreds of different affiliates, and obviously affiliates are always looking for a way to kind of show themselves in the best light and promote the brand as well as they can do. So they're looking for affiliate specific welcome offers, and it's very rare that we'll actually give any out. It'll usually be 4 or 5 key partners that we'll look at and be like, yeah, do you know what, we trust this traffic enough to be able to absorb that. Yeah.
Makes total sense. Final question. If we had a new casino, we're a new operator, and we're just starting, and we got a market to spend of £1 million, how do you spend that money, percentage-wise? Where does that money go in terms of acquisition? Where would you spend that?
In terms of purely acquisition, or in terms of a breakdown of different areas?
Acquisition.
How good's my CRM?
At average.
No, so obviously I've been banging on about the importance of retention the entire way through this, and I think as an acquisition marketer, the obvious channels and the channels that we know best and the channels that we can trust the most are your paid media side of things and your affiliate side of things. There's a huge amount that we can do in terms of when you're looking at kind of the influencer and the content creation side of things as well. But from my perspective, getting huge amounts of budget away through that to begin with isn't going to be the best route. I think from an affiliate perspective, you've got your trusted partners, you know what works, and it's a kind of always on activity where you've got a certain level of comfort as long as the product and as long as the CRM is strong enough. Similar with PPC as well. It obviously be very, very much brand dependent. So it's a very, very tough question to ask, but it'd be a nice,
it's a very
problem to
open
have.
question.
So if anyone has got £1 million to spend,
Yeah.
So I'm launching an affiliate program now, for our trading platform, but a lot of the mechanics are the same. I'm launching hopefully in end of August. So, and I have about $1 million to spend. So
There you go.
there you go.
so you've got the answer then.
So no, I don't know an answer, but so I don't like to throw out a big net right away. Like, I believe very much in data analytics, and I have removed the element of short-term thinking. I was very adamant when I was hired for this role that I would never work like that. I think you get very bad result from being focused on one thing and actually being too narrow-minded in the way you're doing things. So I decided I'm only going to start up in Latam and Brazil. So I'm not even going to try And I want to, and obviously, again, for some reason, when we talk about Latin, we only talk about like as one country. It's in multiple countries. So obviously, I've decided to find 2 or 3 partners for each market. I don't have the capacity, and I don't want to just try to get 1,000 affiliates on board and then give them shitty service, and not be able to take good care of them. So one of the things that we've been very much is the community driven, because for us it's very much, again, I know the product is a bit different, but for us it's the educational element, which I think goes for sportsbook and poker as well, to be honest. So and we want the users to understand that bit of it. So we don't have we do have obviously CTAs, but it's a little bit softer than you will normally see. There's no welcome bonus, first of all, but then there is extreme good loyalty programs, and that is what we want. We want people to use us and then enjoy that loyalty, which is much better than if you're just getting a welcome bonus one time and then you blow it and that's it, and then you go to another casino. So I would say, and then on top of that, I'm always hiring the best people. So making sure that our paid media and everything will be on top. So that's the only reason I'm invited to this panel, by the way, because so I can sit and talk about that. No, so I would say for me it's really much about the testing, the analytics, because obviously this is new project for us. So have tunnel vision for what I've done before would obviously not fit into this. And even if you come, if it was another trading platform, or everything is different. Like even the way teams are working are different, and the way that you're being perceived are different. So you would be very arrogant and ignorant to think that you can just do, oh, I've done this 100 times before, so I just copy that again. But instead of saying, okay, we're going to test this out, we're going to analyze the data, and then we're going to scale or remove from that. So that would be, I know I didn't give you any channels, but that will be my strategy. This is my strategy for the launch.
That's perfect. Anything?
I want to give a little bit of different perspective. So if I have £1 million for acquisition, I wouldn't only focus on paid channels itself, but I would also allocate some of the budget for the concept and strategy and the creative aspect of it. So I'd probably work with an agency and set aside some budget. And I'll tell you why. Because I guess when we all started in this industry, we started in the .com era, the players were very, very different to what they are right now. They have very different behaviors. They want different things. They consume content and media, and they perceive the world in a very different light than when, we're talking about players that were like asking for free spins on a play and go, slot. So right now, it's so important to think out of the box. I really like, when I was working with some sports books in Kenya, their raffle or their welcome bonus was a goat. And I think that was so incredibly creative, because they're speaking to the audience and they were thinking outside of the box. In Georgia, Crystal Bet was doing raffles of Range Rovers every week, because that speaks to the audience. And they gained massive market share by doing that. Massive, because they thought out of the box. They spoke to the nation. They knew what the population wants, and they really addressed that. They tapped into that market. I think they even overthrew Bet365 for some time because of that campaign. So what I would say right now, although I hate this word, like virality, but having your moment in front of the audience, like being this authentic brand, you can go the funny way, you can go the provocative way. We've seen all these examples. You can go in any direction, but you have to make sure that some of your budget is allocated specifically to that. Why do people remember you? Because it's not like before, you have like a crispy clean website, nice offers, and then people will start reeling in. The competition is cutthroat right now. It's really, really crazy. So you have to stand out. This is what I would say.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say thank you very much to my panel. And obviously one of the key messages there, if you've got a goat, give a goat away. Or a Range Rover. Either one works really well. The key points from today. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Cheers.